It's after 2. I'm Paul Krikorian, Chair of the Committee. I'm joined by the Honorable Tom Labange, and we're ready to begin. Other members will be joining us shortly, but what I'd like to do is begin with our general public comment. Right now I have one general public comment card. If anybody else would like to offer general public comment, please fill out a card like this and bring it forward. Then we are going to take up matters 6 and 9. I am going to propose number 7 when we have a quorum here. I'm going to propose number 7 as a consent item. So hopefully we'll be able to dispose of those open session items quickly, and then we have 5 closed session items that we'll be taking at the conclusion of that business. So with that, let's begin with public comment, and Mr. Handel, if you'd like to come forward, welcome.
Hi, good afternoon, and thank you. My name is Jay Handel. I'm the chair of the Budget Advocates around town here. And first and foremost, I want to thank the Budget Committee. And the Budget Committee, during the budget process, I think really heard what we had to say. And with your leadership, some things that we really felt were important to us were effectuated. And I don't know that too many people come up to thank you, but you know, it's definitely time to do that. So I did want to thank you for all the hard work you put in and certainly saving some of the things we really needed to have happen. Secondly, I'd also like to request, should you get some time, to have someone double check on that report for the Budget Advocates that was supposed to come back to us at some point. Now that the budget process is over, hopefully the CAO will be able to get through the report, or CLA, whoever's doing it, and we'll be able to come back and see what the results were from both of them. So again, thank you all very much, and we do appreciate all the hard work you guys put in on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Handel, and thank you for your service, and to all of those who worked so hard on the Budget Advocates' efforts. I think, you know, our work is certainly made better by the input of the representatives of over 95 different neighborhoods who participate in that process. So I want to thank you very much for all the work that you've put in as well. And that report will be forthcoming. Just FYI, we have a number of reports that were requested that were not specific to the 2013-2014 budget, which will be coming back, and we're going to be plowing through all of those as we go. So I don't have an exact date for you, but it certainly will be coming back. And as of now, that's the only public comment card I have. So thank you, Mr. Handel, and we'll go ahead and close public comment. Mr. Rosendahl is with us. Mr. Rosendahl, welcome.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
We have a quorum, so members, I would like to propose that item number 7, the Office of Finance reports relative to monthly investment reports, be considered as a consent item unless members have particular questions about it. Mr. Rosendahl, item number 7.
No problem.
All right. Then without objection, that will be, what do we do with that? Receive and file it?
Note and file, right?
Are we noting and filing it?
Note and file is correct.
Note and file. Okay. Thank you very much. So we will note and file the report, and thanks to the Office of Finance. That brings us to item number 6.
Item number 6 is an Office of Finance report relative to the Los Angeles Department of Transportation request to escheat $144,827.78 from the Parking Violations Trust Fund.
We have someone from Finance to talk about this? Members, normally I would suggest this is a consent item as well. We're getting $144,000, which is a good thing. I just wanted to ask, because this did come up some months ago, maybe it's been a year ago now, when I first noticed the Parking Violations Trust Fund escheatment, and we proposed a database to allow folks to check to see whether they did have money that was owed to them before it is cheated. And I know that that database, at least in an initial form, has been prepared, and I thank you for that. Has there been any further progress on broadening the scope of the database to include other types of escheatment? Because it was really my intention when we brought this up before that all funds that were on account with the city that would be subject to escheatment would be provided in a searchable, user-friendly database so that people could, just in the same way that the state controller has the database for money that's on file with the state. So that's question number one. And then question number two, has the full amount of this $144,000 that's being escheated today, has that been identified on the database for at least 2 months so that people did have an opportunity to be able to search for that and find it in that time? That's probably the easier question.
Yeah, Jan Zatorsky, Assistant Director of Finance. As to your first question, I'm going to let Bernie Apollonio, who's here from Department of Transportation, talk a little bit about what they've done as far as putting the names online so that people, and where they're at in that progress. As to moving to others, primarily the other escheatments we get are Los Angeles Police Department, unclaimed funds, and I think there were some issues about that. I'm not aware of additional progress to put those online at this point.
Okay.
As far as putting the database for the parking citation refunds, we have included all the pertinent information, and the public has actually looked at the database. As a matter of fact, out of the total amount we wanted to be escheated, we had 2 claims. And the public has actually been looking, it was open to the public for at least 6 months, not just 2 months.
Okay, so all of the funds that are subject to the escheatment by the motion today have been included during that time period on the database for that 6-month period?
As of the time, we only had for Fund 853, which is the Parking Violations Trust Fund. That is the only one that we put there. But moving forward, whenever we have things that the public needs to be aware of, we will make sure that it's put in the database.
I appreciate that, and I look forward to having my office work with you on doing that. But my question is more specific now as it relates to the $144,827. Those funds, the potential claimants to those funds, have been listed on the database
Yes.
for at least 2 months prior to today.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes, and that
Okay.
period of time was September 1st, 2008 through August 31st, 2009. That's we're escheating today, that time frame.
Right.
And he indicated that was on.
And so over the course of the last several months, people have had an opportunity to search it. Okay,
Yes.
that's what I needed to know. So, very good. Are there any other questions
I have a
about the?
question.
Yes, Mr.
If you
Labange.
went out on Main Street or Hollywood Boulevard or Van Nuys Boulevard and asked people with a microphone what escheatment means, do you think they know what it means?
Probably not.
So what does it mean?
It is it's per state and administrative code. It allows a city or municipality to claim those monies, take back those monies after 3-year time if they have not been claimed,
Collected. So
collected.
why don't we say unclaimed funds instead of,
It just is, it means unclaimed because like we tried to, at first we mailed those checks to the public and they were either unclaimed, they were returned to us because nobody maybe
I
went.
got to say
Right.
unclaimed. I mean, I read
I'm
the
sorry.
ad.
I can give you the answer to the question.
it's
The answer to the question, Mr. Labange, is they are unclaimed funds, in fact. The legal process by which they are transferred from the claimant to the city is the escheatment. So it's just a legal term.
Next year, should we put parentheses, unclaimed funds?
Well, that's the whole point of the database.
I read the ad, though. I mean, you know,
It uses that term.
yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking if you put in parentheses, unclaimed funds, I don't know. I'm just thinking to be closer to the people.
We do use the word unclaimed in the
But,
advertisement.
yeah, that's all. Okay.
And it's a very good point, and that's kind of the point of having the point originally of having the database was to make it an easy thing for people to be able to identify, to see if any money is owed to them. And I think we need to continue to do some more work in that direction, and I'm
Thank you.
looking forward to doing that. So, okay, Mr. Kretz.
Yeah, do we have a formal policy that to place the money back in the general fund when we escheat these monies?
I believe that's per the administrative code that allows us to do that.
Okay, well, it allows us to do it. I'm wondering if we should do something else with it, like identify some sort of a priority that full council has, like more aggressively restriping streets after they've been repaired or something like that, and we could use the money for something that's a high priority. Is that a possibility as policy as well?
It would probably require an ordinance change for how the money's used. Currently, it just specifies returning to the general fund.
And just a thought, I don't know whether my colleagues think that's a great idea or not, but it was just a thought.
It certainly could be, but I would say we'd still have that option of reallocating it that way through the normal budget process as well. So
We actually have a section, sections 11.33 to 11.35 of the LA Administrative Code that allows the legislative body to transfer these monies to the city's general fund. So
It also gives us the power not to if we wanted to do something else.
it seems so, although I would suggest that
Karen.
that would be a circumvention of the normal budget balancing of priorities. But
Karen
Ms.
Kalfine
Kalfine.
with the CLA's office. Since the monies go into the general fund, the council or the mayor through the budget process has the authority to determine what the priorities are anyway. So these would be part of that. And also, the achievement funds aren't as predictable as some other sources of funds. They're different amounts each year. It's not huge amounts, but there's some that comes in every year. But the council already has the ability to determine the priorities on using budgetary funds.
So you don't see any advantage to trying to identify those funds separately as opposed to just putting them in the general pool?
Not necessarily. I think they all go into the general fund anyway, and the budget usually assumes there'll be some amount, but it's hard to predict what that's going to be on an annual basis.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay. Anything further? Perfect. All right. Members, then if there's no objection, it will be the action of the committee to approve the item and advance it to council. Thank you.
Thank you.
That brings us to item number 9.
Item number 8 is a Rosendahl-Koretz motion relative to the funding and extensions for the San Fernando Mission Boulevard widening between Sepulveda Boulevard and the Golden State Freeway project and the Barham-Cahuenga Corridor Transportation Phase 4 project from the Los Angeles County
Typo.
MTA.
Sorry, typo. Item number 8.
Yeah, I want to talk about it. We already did that one. Who's here? Is anybody here from engineering on this?
Good afternoon, Mike Brown with the Bureau of Engineering. I'm Romnick Mungra is with the project manager with the Bureau of Engineering. We also have LADOT if there's any questions about traffic counts or traffic.
Barham.
Barham.
What are we going to be able to do and when?
With Barham, we've gone back, looked at did a very best cost estimate as we could at this time based on what we have. We feel that with $3 million we can go ahead and do the Barham project. And of course, as you remember, there's a very long wall, very high wall that is required there because we are in Caltrans right-of-way. And because of that, we have to also accommodate future widening of the 101 freeway. So we are getting 900...
Let me ask you a question. How much is this total project at Barham?
It'll be $6.3 million.
$6.3 million. And when they widen the bridge, to widen the Barham Bridge with the freeway there, that's going to be $25 million or something, a bridge?
Probably that or more.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I want to say go ahead with this right now, but I want to ask that I meet in the field. I studied it this weekend when I was in bumper-to-bumper traffic, and I think I want to look at some alternatives that may be able to reduce the cost but still get the end result, knowing we're going to have to change this bridge for the multi-million-dollar project in the future. So let's go to town on it, but I'll call you both, and we'll go out there and look at it.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Rosendahl, Mr. Kretz, anything on this? What is the source of the funds for the $3 million shortfall then? What's the proposed source of funds?
we're not sure at this point. What the motion does is commit that we find the funds. One of the reasons that we went forward with this motion, or that this motion is here, is because the Metro Transit Authority Technical Advisory Committee is looking at deobligating the funds because they were concerned that there were these shortfalls and that we wouldn't be able to make up the shortfalls. We were just at the TAC committee last Thursday, and we said we have a council motion going forward. We should be able to commit to finding these funds in the future. We don't need them this year. We're going to need them before we go to construction. So it'll be a few years before we actually have to have the funding. We'll be working with the CLA and with the CAO to find that money, possibly Measure R, possibly Prop C, but we will find those funds.
Okay. If I could just ask Ms. Kalfayan, is there any concern that by making this commitment now that there could be an imposition on the general fund, or does it seem reasonable to suggest that over the course of 5 years there'd be sufficient opportunity to find special funding for this so that it wouldn't create a general fund implication?
Yeah, I think what this asks our office and the CAO to look at funding options, and I think the possibilities that were mentioned were special funds. The committee may wish to ask that those funding options be restricted to special funds as opposed to getting it into a general fund option. I don't know what I don't recall what the total. There are $2.5 million. So that's something that the committee may want to give that instruction to look at the special fund options instead.
Yeah, I would propose that we do so, that we make that part of the instruction to review special fund and other revenue sources other than the general fund, and that if there is any necessary direct or indirect general fund impact, that would need to come back before this committee.
My name is Ramnik Mangra. I just want to correct that is $3 million that we are asking for Barham Koenga.
Sorry?
For Barham Koenga project, we are asking for $3 million.
For the
$2.5 million.
There was a correction.
Yes, I'm sorry. I should have mentioned that. That was an amendment made in transportation that the $2.5 million should in fact be $3 million. So,
that's correct, yes.
So with that amendment, which we'll concur with, and the additional amendment of suggesting or instructing that special funds be used.
Yeah, and is that also, just check, we approved the master plan for NBC Universal, and there's got to be some money in there that address that, so look at that as well. And I want to look at it real soon, because there's two phases here, Paul. There's one that's going to be a quick fix. It's a 1955 design by the city of the Hollywood Freeway. The city designed the Hollywood Freeway, and then it gave it to the state. And that being said, we could look at it, and I just want to keep it moving.
Yeah.
And I know we'll still be back.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yep. Okay. So any other comments or concerns, members? Okay, then as amended, it'll be the action of the committee to approve the recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lisa.
Did we vote on the consent item? Number 6? Did we vote on number 6?
Without a quorum, you may wish to.
Okay, yeah. I'm sorry, number 7, rather. Members, just for the sake of the record, just to make sure that we're clear, item number 7 I proposed as a consent item. Unless there's any objection, hearing none, that will be approved on consent. And that brings us to our closed session items. I have not received any cards on any closed session items. If anybody would like to submit comment on a closed session item, raise your hand. Seeing none, public comment on items 1 through 5 is closed, and we will now proceed to closed session. Mr. Geis, is there any particular order that you want to go in? 3 first? 3 and 5 first? Is it the same council? Same parties? Okay. All right, so let's begin with item number 3. If you're not here on item number 3, please go ahead and exit the room. And the other room next door is available for seating if you'd like to sit down. So, gentlemen, if you'd be kind enough just to hold the door open. All right. We are back in open session, and there being no further action before this committee, the committee is adjourned.